Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 49, 76, the 24th Hidden One, Yin or She C. 49th of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wei was startled awake, his entire body instantly alert. He reached out and felt more bodies and limbs nearby. He realized he was no longer in the carriage and was likely already on the way to the hidden sect. But he couldn't see or hear anything, leaving him completely disoriented. How long had he been asleep? Suddenly, someone patted his head. The bottom edge of the black cloth bag loosened with a swoosh. His hearing returned, and the sound of water lapping against a boat filled his ears. Li Wei immediately removed the bag. Before him stretched a golden, hazy mist. Beneath him lay a flat boat over 10 meters long, packed tightly with 20 or 30 young men and women. Most of them had already removed their bags, while others were still taking them off. The crowd's mental fortitude was remarkable. Those who had made it this far were no ordinary individuals. After a brief moment of chaos, they quickly straightened up and surveyed their surroundings. Only one pair of gem-like azure eyes glared at Li Wei, her teeth clenched, her red lips trembling, and her hands clenched into fists on her lap. This was the leg that had just slammed into Li Wei's chest, causing sharp pain. She was seated right next to him. The boat was too cramped to move. As soon as she had boarded, this scoundrel had grabbed her leg and pinned her down, leaving her completely helpless. His cultivation was incredibly high. Each time she tried to break free, he only pulled harder, until her thighs ached, her calves cramped, as if her legs didn't belong to herself at all. This was definitely intentional. Which tribe had chosen this person? How could they be so despicable? Li Wei glanced at her, surprised. A pure immortal physique. Which tribe had invested so heavily? Didn't they know that only one person sent to the hidden sect each year survived? Yao Yin, chosen by the Yao Li clan of Julie, was only 15 years old. She had already opened her 7th springs, and as a pure immortal physique, her future was limitless. She possessed the flawless skin typical of pure immortal physiques, every inch of her body sculpted like crystal clear immortal jade, radiating a faint white glow. Pure immortal physiques were renowned for their beauty, far surpassing mortal standards. Yao Yin carried that ethereal aura, even her hair shimmering with an otherworldly luster. Li Wei felt the chill in the other person's gaze and remembered his earlier groping after waking up. How could he not realize who he'd been touching? For a moment, he felt so embarrassed that he wanted to jump ship. It was too embarrassing. He quickly apologized. I'm so sorry. I'd just woken up and my senses were still clouded. Anyway, please forgive me. After apologizing, Li Wei couldn't bear to face her any longer. He turned away and reached for his yellow dragon sword and insect pouch. Both were still strapped to his back. The insect pouch had been opened, but the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors inside clearly hadn't been recognized, so they were all still safely inside. Li Wei glanced toward the bow of the ship and saw a tall, muscular man sitting cross-legged there, facing forward. His back was as majestic as a mountain, and the dark red cloak draped over his shoulders swayed in the wind, radiating an aura of imperial authority. Golden smoke billowed from a bronze lamp beside the man. The lamp's golden light shone brightly, illuminating the darkness of the underground river. Li Wei saw Li Qing. Li Qing's calm eyes also fell on him, a sharp glint flashing through his pupils before he quickly turned away. In that single glance, Li Wei deduced much. He knows that the Earthwolf King's army sent me. But when I boarded the boat, he was already wearing a black cloth bag. This means the mysterious old man must have removed it while I was asleep, deliberately making him remember me. There might be another reason why I slept so deeply. Why must he remember me? Is it to have him kill me in the hidden sect? Li Wei didn't want to get involved in the power struggle between the Earthwolf King's army, the Julie clan, and the Coffin Mountain elite. It was beyond his control. For now, he had to be cautious and remain wary of Li Qing. The flatboat drifted along a wide underground river. The man seated cross-legged at the bow emanated wisps of spiritual qi, controlling the oars remotely. The black-robed girl who removed the black cloth bags from their heads stood as straight as a spear. She seemed no older than 16 or 17. As the black cloth bag was removed from the final young man's head, the black-robed girl stood at the stern of the boat, her sword at her back. Her voice was clear and crisp. We are now sailing through the underground dark river leading to the Julie hidden sect. All of you have shown remarkable composure, neither panicking nor cowering in fear. But I must make this clear, the underground world is ruled by the insect race. We must remain as quiet as possible. Goo goo goo. At that moment, a chorus of insect calls erupted from the riverbank. In the darkness, countless pairs of red eyes lit up. The black-robed girl said, "There's no need to worry too much. The lamp on the boat is burning the pupil shell of a commander-level strange rare insect, the tiger-striped golden cicada. Ordinary insect swarms won't attack us. Soldier level, general level, commander level. Soldier and general levels are known as ferocious insects. Only commander level insects can be called strange rare insects. A single adult commander level strange insect can threaten a Dao Seed Realm martial mystic cultivator. Let me introduce myself. I arrived here 2 years ago, becoming a hidden one 2 years earlier. I entered the hidden sect in the 24th year of this 60-year cycle, so you can simply call me hidden 24 yin or Shi. The black-robed girl said. The young men and women on the boat now looked at the black-robed girl with newfound respect and awe. This is someone who survived to the very end among a group of candidates. And she's even younger than many on this ship. This isn't an ordinary person. The black-robed girl continued, this year's candidates are more than twice as strong as last year's. There are those who have opened the 9 springs, those with pure immortal physiques, and 4 who have opened the 8th spring. It seems that now that the Zhu Li clan's successor has been decided, all the tribes know the Hidden One will soon follow suit with their own selection, and they're all vying for a chance. You all dared to come to the Hidden Sect, so you must know how brutal it is, right? Only one person survives each year to become the Hidden One. Only the Hidden One is eligible to compete for the Hidden One title, and all who fail become hidden servants of the current 60-year cycle's Hidden One. Brutal. It's utterly ruthless. But the cultivation resources and environment of the Hidden Sect are unmatched anywhere else. 2 years ago, at 14, I entered the Hidden Sect with 7 springs opened. Now, 2 years later, I've opened the 9 springs and entered the 5 seas just 8 days ago. With my talent, I could never have opened the 9 springs or broken through to the 5 seas realm so quickly outside the Hidden Sect. This is the true power of the Hidden Sect. A 16-year-old at the 9th spring, 5 seas realm. That's monstrous. How many of the Zhu Li clan's publicly recognized prodigies could compare to her? Li Qing, who considered himself the most talented in the Zhu Li clan and only truly respected Kang Li, was deeply shaken. He asked, may I ask, Hidden 24, are you the fastest Hidden One to break through the 9 springs and reach the 5 seas realm? The black-clad Hidden 24's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery. I can only tell you that every Hidden One must attempt to break through the 9 springs. All resources will be provided, all relevant texts are freely available, and a Hidden One from the previous 60-year cycle who advanced to Elder will assist you. A wave of murmurs swept through the ship. Must attempt to break through the 9 springs. Yao Yin asked, what if we fail? Then you remain in the spring surge realm until you open the 9th spring before entering the 5 seas, Hidden 24 replied. Yao Yin said, forcing the 9th spring is extremely dangerous. Forcing it can be fatal. Do you think no one has died already? My name is Hidden Yin 24, but of the hidden ones who came before me in this 60-year cycle, only 17 are still alive. Hidden Yin 24 continued, without a strong heart and an unwavering belief in either victory or death, I doubt you would have been on this ship. The Hidden Sect is cruel because it is the Zhu Li clan's last line of defense. If we are not cruel now, our enemies will show no mercy to our people in the future. I'm really curious to see who among you will become the last Hidden Yin 26 standing. It will definitely be me, declared a young man who had opened his 8 springs. Li Qing chuckled, wait until you've broken the 9 springs before you say that. Hidden Yin 24 said, having a strong cultivation doesn't guarantee you'll be the final winner. Half of those present are children who have opened their 4th or 5th springs. They are more adaptable and will grow faster and more steadily under the Hidden Yin sect's cultivation. Who knows, someone among them might surpass you in the future. Li Wei had long realized this. Perhaps the Hidden Yin sect's true intention was to have the 9 tribes send these half-grown children who had opened their 4th or 5th springs and already possessed independent thought. In contrast, the older, higher cultivation individuals like them were deliberately sent by their tribes, who mistakenly believed that greater cultivation would increase their chances of becoming Hidden Ones or even divine Hidden Ones. Splash! The underground river's current suddenly surged, and the boat's speed accelerated dramatically. Large waves crashed over the side, soaking Li Wei. He wiped his face, his hand coming away crimson. He brought his hand to his nose and sniffed, the water in this underground river. It's the same as the Blood Sea's water. Yao Yin, who had nearly fallen into his arms earlier due to the sudden surge of water, snorted softly, how ignorant. Beneath the Lingxiao realm lies a vast network of blood rivers, interconnected and branching out into expansive river valleys, mining districts, insect realms, and demon lairs. Above is one world, and below is another. The Earthwolf King's army, one of the 3 most notorious barbarian bandits in the Southern Territory, once hid in this underground world. Otherwise, they would have been wiped out long ago by the Lingxiao Palace. By the golden light of the copper lamp, Li Wei saw numerous tributaries of the Blood River along the way. The underground network was truly a labyrinth, a maze of crisscrossing passages. He wondered how the people at the bow managed to navigate the correct path. For the next few days, the boat continued its rapid descent, plunging deeper into the earth. Along the way, they passed a vast underground blood sea, spanning over 200 miles wide. There was no food prepared on board, but Hidden Yin 24 distributed a 100-year-old precious herb to each person, which after consumption could stave off hunger for several days. Li Wei calculated that just these few dozen precious herbs were worth tens of millions of copper coins. The hidden sect was incredibly wealthy. He wondered if this was an annual offering from the 9 great tribes or if the hidden sect cultivated its own resources. On the 6th day, the boat's speed finally slowed as it entered a narrow tributary of the underground river. As they entered, the group was attacked by a piercing chirping cicadas that felt like a blade piercing their minds. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 beams of golden light erupted from the pitch-black cave walls, coalescing into tiger shadows that appeared to be 2 massive golden tigers crouching on the stone surface. But upon closer inspection, they realized the tiger shadows were actually 2 palm-sized golden cicadas. The man sitting cross-legged at the bow of the boat finally rose to his feet, wearing a metal mask. There's no need to panic. These are the 2 tiger-striped golden cicadas guarding the passage to the Julie Insect Valley. I am the Hidden One from the previous 60-year cycle. You may now refer to me as Hidden Yin Lord. 2 commander-level strange insects guarding the entrance to the passage. This Lord Yin Hidden Lord seemed formidable indeed. Li Wei's understanding of the Yin Hidden sect's strength deepened instantly. The Earthwolf King's army would suffer a crushing defeat if they dared to provoke the Julie Hidden sect. A clan with a 1,000-year heritage was clearly far more complex than it appeared on the surface. The boat continued its journey, and light gradually emerged from the depths. A radiance of various colors. After passing through an ancient stone gate, their vision widened, and a fragrant aroma of vegetation filled the air. A vast underground river valley unfolded before them, bordered by a river that resembled a red ribbon. The valley was shrouded in a misty haze. This wasn't true fog, but rather a vaporized form of spiritual qi similar to that found in the Dao domain. There must be an enormous heaven-law earth spring here. Li Wei's heart chilled as he gazed into the valley. The ground was covered with glowing plants of vibrant hues, red, purple, and every color imaginable. In the distance, luminous trees as tall as a forest towered over the landscape. Beside the underground blood river stood numerous stone stels, some inscribed with characters, others with scriptures, and still others with diagrams of human-shaped combat stances. Far off, etched into the towering cliff face, 4 ancient and colossal characters radiated unparalleled divinity, drawing everyone's gaze. The boat came to a halt. The Lord Yin Hidden Lord was the first to disembark, followed closely by Hidden Yin 24. After the 26 youths, men, women, and children disembarked, they were all led to the foot of the cliff face. The Lord Yin Hidden Lord spoke in a deep, resonant voice. The 4 characters, Julie Insect Valley, on this cliff were carved by the Julie God. All who enter this valley must bow before them. Whoever can comprehend the combat technique intent left behind by the Julie God in these characters will be granted direct entry into the ranks of the Hidden Ones. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 50-77 9th Hidden One Yinju. 50th of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Become a Hidden One directly. Hearing this, Li Wei couldn't help but glance at the cliffside inscription above. It was said to contain the combat technique intent of the legendary Julie God, a technique every martial mystic cultivator in the world yearned to comprehend. These scriptures. It looks remarkably similar to the bird track scriptures used to carve Chixian Red County Ancient Road on the stone pillar in the Soul Sea. However, Li Wei knew little about ancient scriptures, so he couldn't decipher it. All the young men and women present gazed at the cliffside with fervent eyes. After bowing, they stared intently at the 4 ancient characters, carefully studying every stroke and groove, hoping they were divinely gifted enough to quickly grasp something from the scriptures. Once martial mystic cultivators reaches the 5 Seas realm, their most urgent task is to cultivate their own combat technique intent. Without it, they could only flee for their lives when facing the psychic telekinesis attacks of great mind masters. The presence and strength of one's combat technique intent in the 5 Seas realm were second only in importance to one's cultivation level. 24th Hidden One stood silently to the side, unfazed. 2 years ago, she was just like them. After waiting for half an hour, she finally spoke. Everyone, stop fixating on this. Since ancient times, only Azure King has ever managed to comprehend the Julie God's combat technique intent from these 4 characters. Once you enter the valley, your time will be incredibly precious. Every day will be a race against death, so don't waste a single moment here. I'm telling you this now, but most of you probably won't listen. Everyone thinks they're the chosen one. But you'll regret it later, regret wasting your time. Li Wei asked, I've heard that the combat technique intent of 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivators is derived from the heavenly Tao and law harmony techniques. Do these 4 characters on the cliff face correspond to any specific techniques we can practice? No. 24th Hidden One replied, but the valley contains 9 fundamental martial arts left behind by the 9 kings themselves. They are more primal, precise, and detailed than anything you learned at the Clan Academy, imbued with Heavenly Tao divine essence. Naturally, they also make it easier to achieve Heavenly Tao and Law harmony. The 9 kings were the 9 founding ancestors of the 9 great tribes, all sons of the Zhu Li god. Everyone present exchanged glances, their eyes filled with joy. Does the hidden sect possess Azure King's fundamental martial art techniques? Yao Yin asked. Since Azure King had once grasped the combat technique intent of the Zhu Li god, cultivating his fundamental martial art techniques might be the best shortcut. Hidden 24 said, the fundamental martial art techniques left behind by Azure King are the 36 axes of the heavenly demon, but they aren't suitable for everyone. You've spent years, even decades, cultivating other techniques within your tribes. Switching to a new martial art technique now would be like crippling yourselves. Remember, your lives are already limited to a month or a few months at most. Do you truly believe you can master the 36 axes of the heavenly demon within a month or a few months? A tiger like aberrant youth at the 8 Springs opening stage burst with joy. I've been practicing axe techniques since childhood. The first 9 moves of the 36 axes of the heavenly demon are taught in every clan academy. I've already mastered them to perfection. My first technique, Heaven-Earth Severing Technique, is nearly at the level of Heavenly Tao and Law harmony. Many present couldn't help but envy him. Such a foundation in axe techniques was unmatched. Li Qing scoffed. You haven't even achieved Heavenly Tao and Law harmony yet, and you're already bragging. Throughout history, countless geniuses and heroes have entered the hidden sect, but no one else has ever grasped the combat technique intent of the Zhu Li god. The tiger-like aberrant youth's eyes flashed with cold light, his fighting spirit blazing. Then let's see who emerges victorious a year from now. The Lord Yin had silently departed the moment they began contemplating the 4 characters on the cliff face. 24th Hidden One led the group through the misty river valley, passing through a forest of unknown trees that emitted a purple glow, until they reached the base of a massive stone wall. The wall shimmered like a crystalline vein of red jade. Upon closer inspection, one could see spiritual light flowing within it, with scriptures rising and falling like waves. The dense fog obscured the wall's height, but the ground below was remarkably flat and spacious, resembling a vast training ground. 24th Hidden One said, there are actually 2 paths to bypass the life and death trial and the Hidden One competition, and directly become a Hidden One. The stone wall before you is a psychic telekinesis power mural. Every martial mystic cultivator who enters the hidden sect and reaches the 9 Springs ancestral field imprints their battle technique image here. Additionally, the hidden sect purchases images of top-tier combat techniques from other martial mystic cultivators in the Lingxiao realm and imprints them as well. All you need to do is defeat the images of 3 people within this mural to become the Hidden One of this 60-year cycle. Including myself, every Hidden One will become your hidden servant, unconditionally obeying your commands. The surrounding crowd erupted in an uproar. This is far simpler than comprehending the combat technique intent of the Zhu Li god. You only need to defeat 3 people, not chase after a legendary deity. Yao Yin immediately asked, can I challenge now? As a pure immortal physique, she was brimming with confidence. 24th Hidden One shook her head. You must be at least a 9 Springs martial mystic cultivator to qualify. Yao Yin fell silent. Reaching the 9 Springs level within a year was utterly impossible. It seemed she had no choice but to become 26th Hidden One. Doesn't that mean I'm the only one here who qualifies? How can I not test the waters for everyone first? Li Qing stepped forward confidently, his gaze fixed on the stone wall ahead like a blazing torch. 24th Hidden One, as if expecting this, said calmly, place your palm against the wall and infuse it with spiritual qi. The first person's combat technique image will naturally materialize to fight you. Li Qing followed her instructions. Whoosh. Spiritual light, spiritual qi, and ancient scriptures rapidly converged within the red jade ore wall, coalescing into a vivid mural. The mural depicted a plain-looking boy of 13 or 14, but his eyes held a depth that belied his age. He wielded a massive axe that seemed disproportionate to his slender frame. The youth stepped out of the mural, a half-illusory, half-substantial glowing entity. Are you ready? Let's begin. Li Qing drew his spiritual artifact longsword, unwilling to underestimate his opponent. The 9 Springs within him erupted in full force, spiritual qi seeping from his pores to envelop his entire body, instantly pushing him to his peak state. Whoosh. He struck first, his sword like a shooting star, impossibly fast. So fast. His speed surpasses Shui Zheng's by a considerable margin, Li Wei observed intently, trying to gauge Li Qing's true strength. He had to admit that a 9 Springs Supreme was indeed formidable, even stronger than Shui Zheng, who possessed a pure immortal physique. Clang. Li Qing's full power thrust was casually deflected by the spiritual light youth's axe. Impossible. Shock filled Li Qing's eyes. He couldn't believe his opponent was only at the 9 Springs level. After knocking Li Qing's spiritual artifact longsword aside, the spirit light youth raised his axe high and swung it down with the force of a world-splitting blow. The resulting shockwave was overwhelming, utterly domineering. Everyone watching was forced to retreat in awe. Li Qing's expression changed drastically. The pressure was immense. He ignored everything else and immediately channeled the spiritual qi from his ancestral field, unleashing his most powerful heavenly Tao and Law Harmony level sword strike. With a single slash, he unleashed the full power of his sword. The Wind Palace was a small qi sea, so those who opened 8 springs were called the small 5 seas realm. In contrast, the ancestral field size rivaled the first qi sea of many 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivators. Li Qing's sword strike gathered a massive amount of spiritual qi from his ancestral field, making it his true trump card. It could slaughter 8 springs opening or 7 springs opening cultivators with ease. Is the spiritual qi in the ancestral field really this dense? Without using his powerful spiritual artifacts, Li Wei, with his current 7 springs opening cultivation, estimated his chances of victory against Li Qing at no more than 50%. This was terrifyingly strong. Just 2 cultivation realms lower, and he was already struggling to win. The main reason was that both the Fengfu Wind Palace and the Zudian Ancestral Field could store spiritual qi like a qi sea, allowing Li Qing to unleash devastatingly powerful attacks. Li Wei currently lacked such a trump card. Bang! All the spiritual qi and sword qi Li Qing unleashed were shattered by the spiritual light youth's axe. Axe and sword clashed. Li Qing felt as if he'd been punched in the chest. His face turned deathly pale, and he stumbled backward repeatedly, blood gushing from his tiger's mouth. His longsword had already flown out of his grasp. The spiritual light youth pressed his advantage, swinging his axe for a second strike. Quickly admit defeat now, 24th Hidden One said. Li Qing, as if granted a reprieve, immediately shouted, I concede. The massive, razor-sharp axe hovered above his head. The spiritual light emanating from its surface clearly illuminated the fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Whoosh! The giant axe vanished. The spiritual light youth dissipated like smoke. Li Qing trembled from head to toe, exhaling a long breath. His pale complexion remained unchanged for a long time. He asked, who was he? Is he a pure immortal physique? Li Qing couldn't believe that an aberrant humanoid martial mystic cultivator from the 9 springs could possess such formidable strength, let alone a mere mortal. 24th Hidden One replied, that was 9th Hidden One. He entered the hidden sect at the age of 8 after opening his 4th spring. At 11, he opened his 8th spring, and after 2 years of arduous cultivation, he opened his 9th spring at 13. The one you faced was his younger self at 13 years old. He's not a pure immortal physique. He's just a mortal. All of Li Qing's confidence and pride crumbled. He forced a bitter smile. To be defeated by a 13-year-old. Among mortal martial mystic cultivators in the 9 springs, you're already quite strong, 24th Hidden One said. You withstood 9th Hidden One's axe and only suffered minor injuries. 9th Hidden One represents the peak combat prowess of all Hidden Ones in this 60-year cycle during their 9 spring stage. The severely disheartened youths and maidens present were instantly relieved, feeling somewhat better. Some 8 and 9-year-old children suddenly gained confidence. If 9th Hidden One could become the final victor that year, so could they. The younger one started cultivating in the hidden sect, the more benefits they would receive, and the stronger they would become in the future. Li Wei asked, we need to challenge 3 people to become Hidden Ones directly. Besides 9th Hidden One, Yin Ju, the number 1 Hidden One in the 9 springs, who are the other 2? 24th Hidden One replied, the second is the 9 springs pure immortal physique with 100 silver veins. The third is the Lingxiao Jia Shou from the 9 springs realm. Besides this path, there's another, but it's not relevant to you. Only Hidden Ones from the 5 seas realm can compete for it. Upon hearing this, everyone present immediately abandoned their hopes of directly becoming Hidden Ones. For mortals and aberrant humanoids to defeat a pure immortal physique at the same realm was a pipe dream. Even so, Yao Yin, as a pure immortal physique, still had a chance. But to defeat the Lingxiao Jia Shou from the 9 springs realm. Could it be that the Hidden Ones of the Zhuli Hidden sect were aiming for the title of world's strongest? The Lingxiao Jia Shou First Commander wasn't just any First Commander, not like the Zhuli First Commander, the Lizhou First Commander, or the Southern Border First Commander. This title represented the undisputed number 1 martial mystic cultivator under 60 years old in the realm. Yao Yin asked, does 100 silver veins mean having over 100 mark veins within one's body, all of which must be elevated to silver veins or higher? 24th Hidden One replied, precisely. That's the standard for inheritors from the ancient myriad sects. Yao Yin exclaimed. 24th Hidden One said proudly, the Zhuli clan is the only ancient clan in the Lingxiao realm. Even though it has declined in the outside world, the hidden sect must hold its Hidden Ones to the standards of an ancient myriad clan. Hidden Ones should be even stronger than inheritors. The color of a martial artist's mark veins, from lowest to highest, is white, red, silver, and gold. Nearly all martial mystic cultivators begin with white veins. However, the 7 springs opening stage is a turning point. Some choose to break through directly to the 5 seas realm, pursuing higher realms. Some martial mystic cultivators choose to pause, settling down to refine and strengthen their foundation. The more red veins they refine, the greater their chance of breaking through to the 8th spring wind palace Fangfu. To attempt the 9 springs ancestral field, one must refine as many silver veins as possible. Li Qing smiled. I understand now. I see the gap between Yinju, 9th hidden one, and me. I refined 27 silver veins to break through the 9th spring, and now I only have 46 silver veins in my body. I must refine all 90 of my veins into silver veins to stand a chance against him. Li Wei silently calculated. I have 84 veins in my body now, and they seem to be silver veins already. No wonder it's so difficult for me to defeat Li Qing. He has more veins than I do, and over half of them are silver veins. Li Wei suspected that his ability to defeat other martial mystic cultivators across cultivation realms was related to the grade and quantity of his veins. Yao Yin smiled wryly. A pure immortal physique is indeed a favorite of the heavens, a 1 in a million cultivation genius. But only a pure immortal physique with 100 silver veins is a true pure immortal physique. You could say that. 24th Hidden One continued, besides constitution and veins, other factors influence combat strength at the same cultivation level. These include techniques, physical strength, breathing techniques, spiritual power utilization, psychic telekinesis power stacking, spiritual artifacts. All of these can make you stronger. So, don't be discouraged by differences in natural talent or constitution. A pure immortal physique isn't invincible. Li Qing, if you had mastered a heavenly Dao and Law Harmony level movement technique, you would have easily dodged Yin Ju's second axe strike. The more heavenly Dao and Law Harmony techniques you master, the stronger your combat strength will be at the same cultivation level. After speaking, 24th Hidden One led the group to their living quarters. Since you aren't hidden ones yet, you can't enter the hidden sect. You'll have to stay in the cave dwellings carved out along the river valley. 4 spring openers will reside on the first floor. 5 spring openers on the second floor. 6 spring openers on the third floor. The first month is a protection period. Anyone who dares to kill a fellow martial mystic cultivator from this batch will be executed without mercy. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 51, 78 Breakthrough in Psychic Telekinesis Power. 51st of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The first trial will begin at the end of the month. The difficulty of the trial varies depending on your cultivation realm. A word of warning, the mortality rate in the first trial is very high. Regardless of your current realm, strive to improve your combat strength as quickly as possible. A month passes very quickly. Those at the 7 Springs realm or above, follow me. Only 7 individuals met the criteria. 2 7 Springs cultivators, Li Wei and Yao Yin. 4 8th Spring cultivators. 1 9th Spring cultivator. 24th Hidden One led them across the valley to the opposite bank, walking on a lawn that glowed with a blue light. Dew-soaked grass soaked through their shoes. In the distance, numerous towering hills rose from the ground. In the underground space, these hills appeared even more imposing. Your most crucial task now is undoubtedly to refine the meridian veins within your bodies. The Blood Forest Cliff is the most suitable place to refine the red meridian veins. You 2 7 Springs cultivators should stay here. Clearly, 24th Hidden One had already assessed their cultivation levels when they boarded the ship, pointing at Yao Yin and Li Wei. Li Qing's expression shifted in surprise as he glanced at Li Wei. He had witnessed Li Wei's performance during the battle at the Sui River firsthand. He had always assumed Li Wei was an 8th spring cultivator. Li Qing couldn't fathom how a mere 7 springs mortal could achieve such a terrifying feat. He secretly suspected that a master from the Earth Wolf King's army had sealed Li Wei's 8th spring to enhance his survival chances within the hidden sect. It doesn't matter, he thought, there's no difference between the 7 springs and the 8th spring. I'll find an opportunity to eliminate him later. Yao Yin frowned, can I refuse to stay in the same place as him? You can, 24th Hidden One replied, but then you'll have to stay with the 8th spring martial mystic cultivator and the 9th spring martial mystic cultivator. Never mind. Yao Yin conceded. The protection period against mutual killing was only a month. Who knew what the rules would be after that? Li Wei asked, is there a place to help refine the golden vein mark? Yao Yin stared at Li Wei as if he were an idiot and strode into the blood forest. 24th Hidden One, who had maintained a stoic expression throughout, rolled her eyes and said, refine your 9th spring first. Then, she led the remaining 5 people toward the Silver Beach Valley, where they could refine their silver veins. Li Wei couldn't understand why his sincere question had earned him so many scornful glances. He had to refine his golden veins. Otherwise, what advantage would he have against martial mystic cultivators with full silver veins in the future? Kang Li, the top young talent in Li Prefecture, was almost certainly a full silver vein cultivator. Sighing, Li Wei entered the blood forest. It was a small grove, only a few feet taller than a person. But these were clearly mutated plants, their leaves emitting a faint red glow. Their trunks and branches were as hard as wrought iron. The cave dwellings were carved into the cliff face deep within the blood forest. There were 5 entrances in total, each secured by stone doors inscribed with array scriptures. Yao Yin stood outside one of the cave-dwelling doors, eyeing Li Wei warily as if he were a thief. Li Wei, of course, wouldn't make himself unwelcome. He deliberately chose the cave-dwelling farthest from her. Once he closed the stone door, the 10 array scriptures characters on it automatically lit up. After tidying up his cave dwelling, Li Wei entered the blood-mud space of the Buddha's relic. Master Coffin, I've entered the hidden sect. He then recounted the events leading up to his arrival. After listening, Spirit Tablet Master spoke first. It's clear that Guanshan Coffin Mountain and the Earth Wolf King's army have joined forces, and there's a traitor among the Zhu Li tribe's high-ranking officials. It's highly likely that other forces are involved as well. Their primary concern is undoubtedly the Zhu Li hidden sect, so they're trying to gauge their strength before making a move. Li Wei said, I believe the Zhu Li hidden sect's strength far exceeds their expectations. If Coffin Mountain and the Earth Wolf King's army misjudge, they'll suffer a crushing defeat. But that depends on Li Qing keeping his mouth shut and not alerting them in advance. I've heard that the Dragon sect, one of the 10,000 sects, is also involved, and they're not to be underestimated. Then eliminate him, Master Coffin's voice echoed. Li Wei asked, should we proceed with the original plan now and seek out the Lord Yin directly? The initial plan was, of course, to leverage Master Coffin's identity to gain the absolute trust of the Zhu Li hidden sect. Then, as an insect tamer who controlled 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, Li Wei would directly become the divine hidden one for this 60-year cycle. Li Wei's urgency wasn't driven by a desire to complete the task within a month and claim Shi Luyu's stream flow reward. Instead, this was the simplest and most direct method to eliminate Li Qing with the hidden sect's help and expose the traitor. After a long pause, Master Coffin asked, Wei, are you confident in yourself? I mean, confident enough to compete for the divine hidden one position with your own strength. Li Wei chuckled. Honestly, after hearing 24th Hidden One's description, I was tempted to give it a shot. I've already written the letter. It contains my and the 9 Emperors' banners aura, written in my own hand, with the leader's secret mark. It's up to you whether to submit it to the hidden sect now. A crack opened in the stone coffin's lid, and a letter was handed out. Li Wei had already sent paper and ink into the coffin long ago. After taking the letter, Li Wei asked, what are you worried about, Master Coffin? Master Coffin replied, the phoenix-winged moth emperor's level far exceeds my expectations. I fear premature exposure could cause problems. If they were only marquee level, you could reveal them freely. The hidden sect wouldn't covet them, they'd simply and openly declare you the divine hidden one of this generation. But these are 7 emperor-level creatures. Master Guan's voice echoed from the depths below, forget them. Even at my peak, I would have been tempted to kill for them. No, not just kill. I would have slaughtered an entire city, unleashed a storm of blood and chaos, without hesitation. Master Guan's ashes had long been buried in the blood mud. Master Coffin added, don't be too afraid. After all, you have my letter. In it, I stated that I would return in 10 years, and that you are my successor. Those words alone should be enough to deter them. The risk is actually quite low. Li Wei carefully considered the situation. How about this? I'll charge ahead myself first. If my life is truly in danger, this letter will serve as my lifeline. A major upheaval has occurred in Burial Immortal Town, revealing an extraordinary opportunity. That should keep Guanshan Coffin Mountain and the Earth Wolf King's army occupied for several months. There shouldn't be any major problems within that time frame. The news hasn't spread beyond the hidden sect, so they won't dare act rashly. 4 months. If I can't become a divine hidden one within 4 months, we'll resort to the original plan. Master of the Underground Jar asked, so urgent. Why does it have to be 4 months? Li Wei forced a bitter smile. Because Shi Luyu planted a 6 desires talisman on me. If I don't meet him within 4 months, I'm finished. Let me take a look, said the Spirit Tablet Master. Li Wei walked to the Spirit Tablet and pulled open his collar, revealing his muscular chest. A wisp of spiritual light flowed from the Spirit Tablet, coalescing into a luminous hand that pressed against his chest. Since arriving on Shaoyang Star and absorbing its power, the Spirit Tablet Master's remnant soul had noticeably strengthened. Whoosh! Whoosh! 7 consecutive taps. A complex green rune materialized directly in the center of Li Wei's chest. The Spirit Tablet Master withdrew his hand. Indeed, it's a 6 desires talisman. This is troublesome. Can you remove it? Li Wei asked. Yes, I can. Spirit Tablet Master said, but while the runes on each 6 desires talisman are identical, the stroke order varies. Only by finding the correct sequence can you unlock it. Li Wei forced a bitter smile, knowing he'd have to seek out Shi Luyu after all. There were simply too many strokes, too many different permutations, far more than 10,000. We could try one combination at a time. With my mastery of talismanic arts, I could figure it out in at most 100 attempts, Spirit Tablet Master said. Before Li Wei could feel relieved, she added, but you'll need 2 or 3 female confidants by your side. Each mistake will trigger a severe backlash from the 6 Desires talisman. Forget it. I'll stick with Shi Luyu. It's safer. Li Wei rejected the idea outright. He had no desire to end up like Shi Luyu, withered and emaciated from the backlash. Once he became a divine hidden one, he could use the hidden sect's power to capture Shi Luyu. He wouldn't dare resist then. Besides, where would he even find 2 or 3 female confidants? He didn't have a single one right now. Even if he did, it would be a miracle if they were willing to help. Li Wei emerged from the blood mud space. He squeezed the letter in his hand, immediately wrapped it in oil paper, and carefully concealed it against his body. To become a hidden one in 4 months, he had to open his 9th spring within that time and defeat the 3 figures on the psychic telekinetic mural. As for comprehending the Zhu Li god's combat intent, that was too ethereal, he hadn't even considered it. At least not before becoming a divine hidden one. He couldn't afford to waste time on such a distant goal. My biggest advantage now is that I don't need to spend a lot of time refining my meridian veins. My breakthrough will definitely be faster than other 7 Springs martial mystic cultivators. Moreover, the spiritual chi here is so dense THST it rivals a Dao domain. I should also quickly learn more heavenly Dao and law harmony techniques from the Chan sect's 12 dispersed hands. That will make me stronger in combat at the same cultivation level. The third technique. I'll practice the heaven turning hand seal. Inside the insect tube, the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors began to rebel again. Li Wei had no choice but to release them and cut off a pound of cistanch meat to feed them. Though he despised such ordinary medicinal herbs, the starving moth emperors quickly swooped down to devour the offering. The hidden sect must have many precious medicines. This place looks incredibly resource-rich. Li Wei's eyes lit up. After opening the array formation, he rushed out of his cave dwelling. Just as Li Wei emerged from the Blood Tree Forest, he saw 24th Hidden One returning from the Silver Beach Valley. He hurried over, hesitating. She was younger than him, so he couldn't call her older sister, could he? Miss 24, do you have any more precious medicine? I seem to be starving. Li Wei said. Flattery won't work. Just call me 24th Hidden One. 24th Hidden One stood with her back to the Blood River. Though only 16, she was exceptionally beautiful, her face stern as she replied, precious medicine isn't so abundant. If you're hungry, go to the medicinal cuisine hall near the psychic telekinetic stone wall. They serve beast blood medicinal cuisine daily. It can temper your physical body, making you stronger. But the ingredients are mostly medicinal herbs and aged medicines, with only 1 or 2 precious medicine plants per pot. Li Wei was slightly disappointed, but quickly asked, I'm an insect tamer. Can I bring my insects to eat the medicinal cuisine with me? You're an insect tamer too. 24th Hidden One looked at him with newfound respect. It's rare to cultivate both martial mystic and mind spiritual power simultaneously. What level is your mental spiritual power? I'm still nurturing the Fang Kun Flame, Inch Heart Fire Seed, but I should reach the Fang Kun Flame, Inch Heart Flame, stage soon, Li Wei replied. 24th Hidden One felt she had been played. She had actually been looking forward to this, thinking Li Wei might have a chance to become 26th Hidden One. After all, this was the Zhu Li Insect Valley, where insect tamers had a natural advantage. But his mental spiritual power was so weak. Or rather, non-existent. You can bring your insects to eat the medicinal cuisine, 24th Hidden One said before turning to leave. Suddenly, she stopped, remembering something. If you want precious medicines and herbs, strive to pass the first trial a month from now. You'll have a chance to gather it during the trial. Those who pass will also be rewarded with medicinal cuisine made from precious medicine. Why are you rolling your eyes at me again? Li Wei thought he had been genuinely sincere, polite, and humble. But the thought of being able to bring his 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors to freeload on medicinal cuisine instantly banished all his unhappiness. I need to improve my spiritual mind power and reach the Fang Kun Flame, Inch Heart Flame realm as soon as possible, otherwise it'll be hard to command those 7 little guys. And since the underground is ruled by the insect clan, the stronger my mental spiritual power, the greater my advantage will be. Li Wei clenched his fingers, his spirits soaring as he returned to his cave dwelling, grabbed his insect tube, and headed straight for the medicinal cuisine hall. A month passed in a flash. Peaceful, serene, carefree, like a hidden paradise, this was Li Wei's assessment of his time in the hidden Yin sect. He sat cross-legged in the blood forest, secretly using the spatial power of the Buddha's relic to draw the red light radiating from the leaves into his third eye spiritual realm. 10 days ago, he achieved a breakthrough. The spiritual light flame in his third eye spiritual realm had grown from a tiny spark to a roaring blaze. With his psychic telekinesis mental spiritual power breakthrough, his control over the Buddha's relic's spatial power had become even more refined, allowing him to manipulate it precisely within a 3-meter radius. This newfound control emboldened him to boldly absorb the red light of the blood forest. In just 10 days, the spiritual light flame in his third eye spiritual realm had swelled to resemble a ripe, red jujube. Perhaps due to absorbing the crimson light, his spiritual light Lingguang flame now had a reddish tinge. Sensing Yao Yin emergence from her cave dwelling, Li Wei immediately stopped channeling the Buddha's relic, tucked the Tao ancestor Tai Chi fish into his collar, adjusted his robes, and quickly left the blood forest. In the beginning, he hadn't been so quick to leave. He remained seated in the dense forest, leading to considerable misunderstandings. It's him again. Yao Yin was utterly speechless. That guy was always lurking in the blood forest, skulking around like a ghost. Who knew what he was up to? Before, he would feign meditation, sitting cross-legged on the ground and pretending to cultivate psychic telekinesis power. Now, it was different. The moment she stepped out of her cave dwelling, he would hastily retreat. Of course, from Li Wei's perspective, he didn't feel the slightest bit furtive or flustered. Each time, he maintained an air of composure and indifference. No, I must break through to the 8th spring as quickly as possible. I can't stay alone with him in the blood forest cliff any longer. The month-long protection period is almost over. What if he's plotting something? Yao Yin knew Li Wei was peculiar. Though only at the 7 springs level, his strength was extraordinary. Most importantly, he had been eyeing her for some time. Lately, Yao Yin had been dressing more conservatively, even wearing a veil and staying indoors as much as possible. Li Wei arrived at the medicinal cuisine hall ahead of her. Yao Yin chose a seat as far away from him as possible, her gaze not only icy but also disdainful, as if sharing the same roof with him made her skin crawl. The other young men and women from their cohort arrived one after another. They rarely gathered in such numbers. The first trial was about to begin, and this meal would be the last for many of them. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 52-79 The Seven Springs Trial Ground. 52nd of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The medicinal cuisine hall, located on the eastern side of the purple forest, was quite spacious, with over a dozen sets of stone tables and chairs neatly arranged. Medicinal cuisine food. Made by simmering the blood of strange beasts with dozens of precious medicinal herbs, it was naturally not meant to be palatable. It was merely edible. Yet after just 1 month of consuming it, everyone's physical strength and endurance had noticeably improved. Their energy was abundant and vigorous, and their internal force seemed inexhaustible. For the entire month, Yao Yin had remained in her cave, practicing the Medicine King's fundamental martial arts technique she had chosen, the Heavenly Wind Palm technique. She slept no more than 2 hours each day. The palm technique's spiritual chi struck the cliff walls with resounding force, making it impossible for Li Wei to sleep. He was forced to join her in this relentless training. The process of practicing martial arts techniques and practicing breathing techniques also served to temper the veins within their bodies. It was only with the aid of the medicinal cuisine that Yao Yin could push her body to such extreme limits, unlocking her physical potential without fear of collapse. When one person strives relentlessly, everyone's pace is inevitably swept along. Li Qing and the 4-8 Springs martial mystic cultivators were also pushing themselves to the limit in the Silver Beach River Valley, diligently practicing the 9 Kings' fundamental martial arts techniques they had chosen. Across the valley, the younger, lower-level martial mystic cultivators were doing the same. Hard work was merely the most basic and least significant requirement for success. They were not just striving, they were fighting for their lives. Today's medicinal cuisine was quite special. Throughout the brewing process, an intoxicating aroma filled the air. Inside the bronze cauldron, the medicinal cuisine boiled incessantly, releasing a 5-colored, smoke-like medicinal qi that illuminated the stone chamber with treasure light. Even before tasting it, everyone knew that the cauldron must contain numerous precious medicines. The young tiger-like aberrant humanoid, who cultivated the 36 axes of the heavenly demon, noticed everyone's gaze fixed on the bronze cauldron and chuckled. Are you all anticipating this? The hidden sect is still too humane. Knowing this is your last meal, they've prepared a higher quality medicinal cuisine to send you on your way. In just 1 month, he had already cultivated the first axe of the 36 axes of the heavenly demon to heavenly Tao and Law Harmony realm, refining several silver veins within his body. Naturally, he was brimming with confidence. He couldn't imagine how much he would grow in a year. A young aberrant humanoid child with 5th spring opening, his voice still tender, piped up, the higher your cultivation, the greater the danger of the trial. It's hard to say whose last meal this really is. Every person seated here was a mortal enemy. They naturally engaged in open hostility, dispensing with any pretense of courtesy or harmony. When the treasure light overflowing from the cauldron reached its peak, the old man of medicinal cuisine instructed everyone to retrieve their portions. The medicinal cuisine wasn't rationed. As long as they didn't take more than they could eat or waste any, they could eat as much as their appetites allowed. The aberrant humanoids, with their massive physiques, naturally had an advantage. There was no help for it, even at the same cultivation level, aberrant humanoids were inherently stronger than ordinary humans. Li Wei, as usual, first filled a large basin for the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors. The basin was no smaller than those used by aberrant humanoid martial mystic cultivators. Over the past few days, the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors had been eating non-stop, practically living in the medicinal cuisine hall. Their bodies had noticeably grown. But according to the spirit tablet master, they needed to grow to 2 inches long before their combat strength could match a 5 seas realm martial mystic cultivator. Right now, they were only about an inch and a half. 3 figures in black robes walked along the cobblestone path beneath the psychic telekinesis stone wall, arriving at the center of the martial arts plaza outside the medicinal cuisine hall. They watched the others, who were still finishing their final meal. 24th, I heard this batch is of exceptionally high quality. Who do you think will survive to the end? Yin San, a bear-like aberrant humanoid, who was as tall as Yao Zhengsheng, far larger than ordinary aberrant humanoids, and possessed innate divine strength. Yin Ershisi 24th Hidden One, said calmly, 2 of them are quite promising. One is Li Qing, a mortal with the 9 springs and 90 meridian veins. He just joined the hidden sect and can already withstand a blow from Yinju's axe. The other is Yao Yin, granddaughter of the Yao Li clan chief. She possesses a pure immortal physique. Both are formidable competitors. Not all hidden ones in the hidden sect live in seclusion. Once their cultivation reaches a certain level, many are dispatched on missions. Some travel the world, seeking to establish a new identity. Others infiltrate enemy factions, clans, or even the Lingxiao Palace. While most hidden ones remain silent, there are dedicated hidden ones responsible for gathering information. As a result, the Zhu Li hidden sect is no less informed about the outside world than the Zhu Li Dao Academy. Yin Ershiji was surprised, a pure immortal physique, and the clan chief's granddaughter, sent to the hidden sect. Rumor has it she has a health problem and came to the hidden sect seeking a chance for survival, Yin Ershisi replied. Yin Ershi Wu, a slightly younger youth than Yin Ershisi, added, I heard Yin Wu sent back some information related to this batch. Besides Li Qing, he specifically mentioned Li Wei. Have you heard about this? Yin Ershi-san shook his head. A look of confusion flashed in Yin Ershisi's eyes. Yin Wu had remained silent for years, and the sudden message he sent back, mentioning someone, must mean this person is extraordinary. It seems I have underestimated him. 7 Springs. Insect Tamer. After finishing their medicinal cuisine, the 26 young men and women gathered in the martial arts plaza. Yin Ershi-san's voice boomed like thunder. My name is Yin Ershi-san. I arrived only 3 years earlier than you. I have bad news to share, the protection period ends now. You are free to use any means necessary to eliminate your competitors and make your survival easier. However, there is one ironclad rule, you may not harm any competitor whose cultivation is weaker than yours. The tiger-like aberrant, an 8th spring martial mystic cultivator, spoke up, so, we can only fight those at the same level. A weaker cultivator can't kill a stronger one. But if a weaker cultivator provokes me, can I kill him? Of course, Yin Ershi-san replied. Li Qing scanned the crowd, his voice laced with menace, then let me warn you all now, don't come here to die. My sword is faster than it was a month ago, and it thirsts for blood. Yin Ershi-san announced, I have more bad news to share. The trials officially begin now. Those who have opened the 9 springs and those who have reached the 8 springs opening, follow me. Yin Ershi Wu added, those below the 7 springs, follow me. After everyone had departed, Yin Ershi turned to Li Wei and Yao Yin, the only ones remaining, let's go. The 3 groups boarded their vessels at the edge of the Blood River, each bound for a different trial ground. They rowed a flat-bottomed boat over 10 meters long, drifting downstream with the current. All 3 were taciturn by nature. Yin Ershi stood at the bow, her back straight, though her slender frame belied her 5 seas realm strength. Yao Yin sat at the stern, her head bowed in thought, her entire body radiating a luminous white glow, her beauty a painting in itself. Li Wei sat in the center of the boat. He noticed the flat-bottomed boat was actually 2 smaller boats joined together by chains. After drifting for dozens of miles, Yao Yin couldn't help but ask, am I going for the trial with him? Those of the same realm naturally undergo the trial together. The 7 Springs Martial Mystic Cultivators, trial ground is the gathering place of the soldier-level ferocious insect, the flying-winged white spider, Yin Ershi replied. Yao Yin's small face grew serious. The protection period had already ended, and in this trial, the flying-winged white spiders might not be the most dangerous threat. The small boat entered a narrow tributary of the underground river, only a few meters wide. With no luminous plants to illuminate the way, the darkness deepened. Li Wei's brow began to glow, emitting spirit light particles that faintly illuminated the darkness. We're almost there. Yin Ershi glanced at Li Wei. A word of advice, once inside the cave, try not to use spiritual light. Rely on your perception. If you awaken a large swarm of flying winged white spiders, you too are likely to perish within. Li Wei was a man who listened to advice. His brow dimmed. Even without light, his current cultivation allowed him to see the figures of the two women within a few meters. Yao Yin's skin, in particular, stood out even in the darkness. Li Wei asked, "What must we do to pass this trial?" "It's just the first trial. You don't need to do anything. Just ride this boat safely through the spider cave. Normally, the boat will drift downstream and exit the cave in 3 days. I'll be waiting for you at the exit," Yin'er Shixi replied. Is it really that simple? How could they enter the fierce insect's territory and hope not to disturb it? It was impossible. Yin'er Shixi walked to Li Wei's side, unfastened the chain connecting the two boats, and said, "Oh, right. The spider silk in the cave is a treasure. You might as well collect some. If you gather enough, you can exchange it for precious medicine. I'll leave you here. Good luck." Yin'er Shixi released spiritual qi from her body, enveloping the small boat beneath her. She turned against the current and began rowing back. Li Wei and Yao Yin continued down the Blood River in a smaller, half-sized flatboat, only a few meters long. The surroundings were pitch black and eerily silent, broken only by the sound of the flowing water. The underground river passage grew even lower, forcing them to lie flat to pass through. Li Wei could hear Yao Yin's heart pounding faster and faster. He whispered, "I know you have misconceptions about me. But I suggest we avoid killing each other during this trial. If we break the boat, both of us will die here." Yao Yin replied, "That's exactly what I was thinking. No matter what your intentions are, nothing is more important than our lives. We're rivals, but why can't we outlast the others first? Also, don't be tempted by small advantages that lead to big disasters. Collecting spider silk will definitely alert the flying winged white spiders. We just need to safely pass through the spider cave." "All right." Li Wei had just agreed when he sensed something. He sniffed sharply. What a fragrance. It's so tempting, it makes me want to take risks. Yao Yin's teeth itched with fury. She hated him with all her might, convinced he was deliberately teasing her with his words. Indeed, she possessed a unique natural fragrance that was amplified in the dark, desolate cave. It's the scent of medicine. There's a precious medicine nearby. Li Wei sat up abruptly. The low cave suddenly expanded, revealing a scarlet precious medicine growing about 10 meters above them. It's turned scarlet, meaning this cistanche is at least 500 years old. Li Wei channeled his spiritual power to enhance his senses, his ears, eyes, and nose, to their peak. Finding no trace of fierce insects nearby, he leapt upward. Yao Yin sat up from her reclining position, her cheeks flushed crimson. She realized she had misunderstood him. But her guilt quickly evaporated, replaced by shock. At a height of 30 meters, it was impossible for someone at the Spring Surge realm to reach directly. Yet the man before her, with spiritual qi surging beneath his feet, was actually walking on air, as if stepping on invisible stairs. His movements were so skillful they didn't resemble those of a Spring Surge realm martial mystic cultivator at all. In the past month, Li Wei had mastered 3 new Heavenly Dao and Law Harmony realm, including Yellow Dragon ascending to heaven. After taking 9 steps in the void, he finally grasped the scarlet cistanche. It felt slightly warm to the touch. As he pulled it from the cliffside crevice, Li Wei's body plummeted. Even at the Heavenly Dao and Law Harmony level, Yellow Dragon ascending to heaven could only carry him 10 meters at most. The spiritual qi beneath his feet had dissipated, and Li Wei couldn't control his descent. Yao Yin was startled. She immediately unleashed the Heavenly Wind Palm technique, gently pushing out a palm strike that generated a gust of wind to catch Li Wei. Whoosh! Li Wei used the wind's momentum to float back onto the ship, holding the nearly 100 jin, 100 pounds, scarlet cistanche. He smiled and said, "Thank you. I was just saving myself. Who knows if the commotion you caused when you fell would have alerted a swarm of flying winged white spiders." Yao Yin's delicate face was icy, her expression full of resentment. "Didn't we agree from the start? Don't be greedy for small gains, getting through the spider cave safely is the most important thing. This isn't a small gain." Li Wei corrected, "This is 100 pounds of 500-year-old cistanche, worth nearly 100 million. Cistanche nourishes yang and replenishes blood. If I consume it all, it could significantly enhance my physical body." Nearly 100 million, even for Yao Yin, the clan chief's granddaughter, the amount was slightly shocking. Of course Li Wei had to risk it all. Harvesting this cistanche would bring him one step closer to raising the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors to 2 inches in length. "You did help out a little just now. I'll give you 2 pounds later," Li Wei said generously, not wanting to owe her a favor. "Keep it for yourself." Yao Yin sat back on the boat, her expression troubled. The medicinal fragrance of this precious medicine might attract the flying winged white spiders. "I suggest you throw it away. Greed can be fatal, and I don't want to suffer with you." Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 5380 The Four-Winged Spider King. 53rd of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Wai couldn't possibly abandon the Sistanch. Precious medicine emits a medicinal fragrance, he said, how are you going to deal with the scent on you? You should have considered this before the trial. Yaoyan was still struggling to respond when Li Wai pulled out a massive black cloth and wrapped the crimson Sistanch inside. Instantly, all light and scent were concealed. It was the ghost banner. Li Wai himself crawled inside, intending to use the ghost banner's concealment to bypass the trial directly. After a moment's thought, he poked his head out and looked at the stunned little girl sitting at the bow of the boat. Do you want to hide in here? Yaoyan let out a muffled sound and turned her head away. Alright, just try to suppress your aura as much as possible. Don't attract the flying winged white spider. Li Wai retreated back into the ghost banner, his mind racing. Earlier, he had deliberately fallen from midair, feigning vulnerability to test whether Yaoyan would seize the opportunity to kill him. If she had attacked, Li Wai wouldn't have hesitated to eliminate her first. The situation remained the same now. Though seemingly defenseless, wrapped in the ghost banner, Li Wai was actually waiting for Yaoyan to strike. She's only 15, and it's clear she's been sheltered her entire life. No matter how cold she pretends to be, she's still soft-hearted. With such a temperament, even if she possesses a pure immortal physique, she might not survive to the end. Forget it, I won't intervene. I'll leave this to those who have opened the 8th and 9th springs. They'll likely see the pure immortal physique as their primary enemy. Li Wai took a bite of Sistanch and began to chew. A 500-year-old precious medicine truly was different. It melted in his mouth like liquid jade, filling his mouth with a radiant glow. A warm current of medicinal energy spread from his lips and tongue down to his abdomen, then radiated throughout his body. Li Wai felt a warm, soothing sensation throughout his entire body, as if he were soaking in a hot spring. After a month of arduous cultivation, the barrier of the 8th spring had grown thin, ready to be shattered at any moment. For martial mystic cultivators who had opened the 8th spring, the most challenging aspect, aside from refining their meridian veins, was actually cultivating their Fengfu Wind Palace. The Wind Palace was like an internal world, similar to the Third Eye spiritual realm, or a lesser Qi. Li Wai possessed the Buddha's relic, a spatial treasure that could assist in cultivating his internal world. This meant the final hurdle was essentially non-existent. Once he opened the 8th spring, he could focus on dealing with Li Qing first, then test the difficulty of the psychic telekinetic mural. With Master Coffin's letter in hand, like holding an imperial sword, Li Wai felt emboldened. After all, he was the descendant of the Zhu Li tribe's leader from 1,000 years ago. Being a bit extraordinary was only fitting. Yaoyan sat alone at the bow of the boat, her jade-green eyes scanning the riverbanks with intense vigilance, of course also wary of Li Wai. Gradually, dense spiderwebs appeared on the river, some forming nets that blocked the boat's progress. Yaoyan glanced at the figure hidden beneath the black cloth, ultimately deciding not to rely on him. She retrieved a spiritual artifact dagger hidden in her sleeve and carefully began slicing through the webs. These spiderwebs were incredibly tough, even stronger than the webs of the giant spider. They could be woven into battle robes or used to craft low-level spiritual artifact ropes. But here, they were deadly. Once entangled, there was no escape. The boat's progress became agonizingly slow. She saw numerous human skeletons suspended upside down in the water, trapped within the webs. It was obvious they were 7 Springs trial takers from previous years. Just a few meters away on the riverbank, clusters of fist-sized, white globes with membranous wings were scattered about. These were clearly dormant flying-winged white spiders. The scene before her filled Yaoyan with extreme tension. She dared not imagine the horror of waking them all. Meanwhile, Li Wai lay on the boat, practicing the jade void breathing technique, completely absorbed in his cultivation. About half a day later, the boat came to a complete stop. The sudden change in the environment jolted Li Wai from his cultivation. Curious, he wondered why Yaoyan had stopped the boat. Suddenly, a faint, stifled whimper drifted from outside the ghost banner. It gradually grew more pained, with rapid breathing and louder cries. What are you doing? Li Wai emerged from the ghost banner, fixing his gaze on Yaoyan, who was curled up at the bow of the ship, trembling uncontrollably. The dim light made it impossible to see what she was up to. Li Wai scanned the surroundings. Above, a dense web of spider silk hung, dotted with dormant white spiders and fierce insects, along with several inverted skeletons. He inhaled sharply. Don't make too much noise. If you wake them, we'll both be strung up today, our flesh devoured until nothing remains. However, there was no response. Sensing something was terribly wrong with Yaoyan, Li Wai cautiously crawled out of the ghost banner. She was curled up like a kitten shivering on a winter street, her body racked with some unknown agony. Her whimpers were barely contained. Why is she so cold? The moment Li Wai approached, he felt a bone-chilling cold. He gently touched her forehead, cheeks, and arm. Her entire skin felt like ice. Even more terrifying, her skin was covered in a dense network of ice cracks. Li Wei had no idea what had happened to her, but her cries were growing louder, and the flying winged white spiders around them had begun to stir. Logically, Li Wei could have seized this opportunity to end Yaoyan's life with a single sword strike, ending the matter once and for all. However, Yaoyan had refrained from taking advantage of him earlier, so Li Wei naturally couldn't do the same. Forget it. Consider her just that baseball bat. I can't bring myself to break her with my own hands. Li Wei lifted Yaoyan and stuffed her entirely into the ghost banner, forcing her to cling tightly to the systanch, which radiated intense heat. He also fed her a mouthful. Whether she could survive depended on her own fate. Once the ghost banner was tightly sealed, the muffled, groaning sound of Yaoyan struggling with the object in her mouth became barely audible. Drawing the yellow dragon sword, Li Wei sat at the bow of the boat, preparing to cut through the spider silk blocking the river. Suddenly, a strange cry echoed from behind him. Without a second thought, he turned and slashed backward with his sword, severing the white spider silk that had been shot toward him. Goo goo. A fist-sized flying winged white spider scurried rapidly along a strand of spider silk several yards away before disappearing. But its cry had awakened all the sleeping white spheres along the riverbanks. One by one, they raised their heads, revealing dark red eyes that resembled a dense crimson starry sea. Damn it! Li Wei abandoned all caution, desperate only to escape. He channeled his spiritual chi into the yellow dragon sword and slashed forward with all his might, clearing a path through the dense web. Any strand touched by the sword's yellow glow instantly melted. Swish! 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 Countless spider threads shot toward him from all directions. Ruyi Chenkan sword strike. Li Wei unleashed the second sword technique from the Chan sect's 12 dispersed technique, exploding into the realm of heavenly Tao and Law Harmony realm. With a single strike, his sword split into 100 shadows. The cascading sword images formed an impenetrable defense, like a torrential downpour. Every spider thread was severed. But soon more threads surged forward, and some white spiders even took flight, their razor-sharp wings slicing through the air as they swarmed the boat. The entire spider cave erupted in a cacophony of shrieks. White spiders filled the sky, their membranous wings glinting like blades. Li Wei managed to hold them off for only a single breath before releasing the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors from the insect tube on his back. They clashed with the swarming white spiders in a fierce battle. Catching his breath, Li Wei quickly severed all the spider threads clinging to him and rushed to the bow of the boat. He slashed his sword to clear a path while paddling furiously with the oar. Though only at the 7 Springs cultivation level, he couldn't replicate Yin or Shi's feat of releasing spiritual chi to propel the wooden boat. That was a technique only attainable in the 5 Seas realm. Fortunately, the boat was drifting downstream, moving at incredible speed. Aren't you Emperor level? Shouldn't a mere wisp of your aura be enough to intimidate these soldier-grade fierce insects? Li Wei was displeased with the Phoenix-winged Moth Emperor's performance. 3 of the Phoenix-winged Moth Emperors immediately ceased fighting. Li Wei hastily interjected, I have 100 pounds of 500-year-old systanch. Whoever kills the most fierce insects gets the biggest share. I'll be keeping count. The 3 Moth Emperors that had stopped fighting immediately took flight again, their bodies erupting in multicolored radiance. Their combat prowess surged to its peak as they charged back and forth through the swarm of white spiders. Insect corpses rained down like rain. Goo goo. A deep, resonant cry echoed from the depths of a cave on the right. Li Wei immediately grew alert. He discovered a systanch emitting purple light growing deep within the cave, dozens of yards from the river channel. This indicated that the precious medicine was 800 or 900 years old, not far from reaching the age of a millennial essence medicine. How could it have grown here for 8 or 9 centuries without being harvested? As Li Wei pondered this, a white spider the size of a human face crawled out from the purple glow of the precious medicine. 4 blood-red wings sprouted from its back. The deep, resonant cry that echoed through the cave came from its mouth. Clatter. The white spider, now the size of a washbasin, moved its 8 legs with lightning speed, charging toward the flat boat on the river like a streak of light. This Spider King is definitely not soldier level. Li Wei immediately summoned his black iron seal and struck it with the hilt of his sword. Boom. The thunderous roar shook the entire cave, and a bolt of lightning erupted like a radiant serpent. The 4-winged Spider King, flapping its wings, neither dodged nor evaded the attack. It spat out a beam of blood-red light that collided with the lightning serpent, surprisingly managing to withstand the blow. Its 4 wings stirred up a violent gust of wind, growing closer with each flap. Li Wei's expression shifted dramatically. He had never faced such a terrifying beast before. He pulled out the evil camel bell and channeled his spiritual chi into it. Ignoring the risk of being corrupted by evil thoughts, he shook the bell frantically. Whoa! A giant camel, half illusory, half real, materialized on the boat and slammed into the 4-winged Spider King as it flew toward them. This blow finally sent the Spider King flying backward. But in an instant, the 4-winged Spider King was back, its roar even more ferocious. Don't kill it. Push the boat and get us out of here. Li Wei used his mental spiritual power to command the 7 Phoenix-winged Moth Emperors. Though small, they possessed great strength and incredible speed. Perhaps influenced by the evil camel bell's malevolent aura, 5 of them had gone berserk, leaving only 2 to obey his order and push the boat. Clang! Clang! He shook the evil camel bell again, and the giant camel struck the 4-winged spider king a second time, sending it reeling. Li Wei knew his spiritual qi was rapidly depleting, he couldn't hold out much longer. Of course, he had a trump card, the Buddha's relic on the Tao ancestor Tai Chi fish. But the 4-winged spider king was too fast. He could only capture it within a 3-meter range and store it in the blood-mud space. The window of opportunity was fleeting. If he hesitated even a moment, his body would be torn apart. If he acted too quickly, he wouldn't be able to capture it at all. Moreover, his 3 masters were still inside the blood-mud space. Capturing another spider king would endanger them as well. Don't force me to break through the 8th spring with the combined spring technique. Li Wei desperately wanted to avoid such a dangerous method to break through. Though the flatboat was speeding through the air, the 4-winged spider king relentlessly pursued it. After repelling the king for the 3rd time, Li Wei felt a serious health problem inside his body. A ringing sound echoed in his mind, the 6 desires talisman on his chest flickered, and his entire body rapidly grew scorching hot. It was like adding fuel to the fire, the 6 desires talisman chose this critical moment to act up. Goo goo. The 4-winged spider king led a swarm of white spiders in rapid pursuit. There was no time to search for pills. Bloodshot eyes blazing, Li Wei's emotions ignited by the evil camel bell, the 6 desires talisman, and the life or death crisis before him. He roared, kill. Malice transformed into battle intent, lust ignited his blood, overriding all reason. Riding a camel that was half real, half illusory, he brandished the yellow dragon sword and charged off the flatboat, stepping onto the river of blood to launch a counter-offensive against the pursuing spider swarm. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors were stunned, then transformed into 7 streaks of multicolored light to follow. A chaotic battle erupted over the river of blood, raging until the sky turned dark. Boom! Boom! Li Wei wielded his swords, clashing fiercely with the 4-winged spider king. Wounds multiplied on his body, torn by the razor-sharp spider wings. Yet, the more he fought, the more invigorated he became, his rationality and consciousness gradually sharpening. How am I even locked in combat with the Spider King? Thank goodness for the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors assisting me. Without them, I wouldn't have lasted this long. As for my so-called guardian wife, she is utterly unreliable. She hasn't even shown her face in this life or death situation. My head. It hurts so much. It's the Fengfu Wind Palace. Li Wei realized a sharp pain was radiating from his Fengfu acupoint at the back of his head, as if a needle were piercing it. Instead of alarm, his heart filled with joy. This is the sign of a spring about to open. He quickly steadied his mind and consciousness, activating his breathing technique. Gradually, wisps of spiritual power began to seep from his Fengfu acupoint. Without hesitation, he channeled his spiritual light to activate the Buddha's relic, drawing gentle spatial energy to converge on the Fengfu acupoint. Boom. Moments later, as Li Wei slashed his sword at the 4-winged spider king, the internal space beneath his Fengfu acupoint opened. A torrent of violent spiritual power surged forth, imbuing his strike with unprecedented power. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.